The airlock hissed open without clearance, without signal, without a single warning ping to the station's command deck. Alarm screamed through Corridor 7 as the massive form of Queen Veltara stepped onto human territory for the first time in 3 years. Her towering frame filled the passage, scaled skin shimmering with bioluminescent threat displays that had once leveled entire human outposts. 6 arms flexed, each one capable of tearing through reinforced steel. Her entourage of elite warriors fanned out behind her, weapons primed, mandibles clicking in anticipation. She had come to deliver an ultimatum. Humanity had crossed into forbidden space again. The treaty they signed after the war meant nothing to these reckless primates. Veltara would remind them why her species ruled this sector for 10,000 years before humans even discovered fire. Her advance guard moved ahead, scanning for threats, for commanders, for anyone worth addressing. They found no one. The corridors stood empty. Emergency lights pulsed red. The station felt abandoned. Then she heard it. Music. Faint. Echoing from the central hub. Not battle hymns. Not tactical communications. Music. Human music, tinny and rhythmic, playing from some primitive audio device. Veltara's triple hearts quickened. A trap? Some psychological weapon? Her people had studied human warfare extensively. They were unpredictable, dangerous when cornered. She signaled her warriors to battle-ready positions and moved toward the sound. The central hub opened before her, a massive chamber where 3 station rings connected. And there, in the center of this strategic choke point, this critical junction of human military infrastructure, stood a human male. He wore no armor, no weapons. Just a faded blue uniform with a name patch she could barely read. He held a primitive cleaning instrument, pushing it across the floor in steady, rhythmic motions. The music came from a small device clipped to his belt. Veltara froze. Her warriors froze. The human continued mopping. He hadn't noticed them yet, or perhaps he had and simply didn't care. His movements were methodical, almost meditative. He dipped the mop into a wheeled bucket, wrung it out, and continued his systematic coverage of the floor. He was humming along to the music. Veltara's tactical mind raced. This was wrong. This violated every protocol, every expectation, every scenario her strategists had prepared. Where were the soldiers, the defense systems? The diplomats scrambling to negotiate? Where was anyone? The human paused, finally sensing their presence. He looked up. Their eyes met across 30 meters of open space. He didn't scream. Didn't run. Didn't reach for a weapon. He raised one hand in a casual gesture, smiled slightly, and spoke 2 words that would echo through Veltara's memory for the rest of her life.
Hey there!
Then he went back to mopping. Queen Veltara's combat implants flooded her system with tactical data. Heart rate analysis. Calm. Pheromone detection. No fear markers. Threat assessment. 0 defensive posture. Her neural processors couldn't reconcile the input. Every instinct screamed trap, but her scanners showed nothing. Just one human. Cleaning. Seize him, she commanded. 2 warriors surged forward, plasma rifles raised. The human glanced up again, this time with mild concern. He raised both hands, still holding the mop. Whoa, easy now. Floor's wet. You're going to track boot prints everywhere. The warriors halted mid-step, confused by his tone. It wasn't submission. It wasn't defiance. It was annoyance. Veltara moved closer, her massive form casting shadows across the spotless floor. She towered over him, nearly twice his height. Her voice rumbled with the bass frequencies that had made enemy commanders weep during the war. I am Queen Veltara of the Kryntian Empire. I have come to... Yeah, I know who you are, the human interrupted. Saw you on the news 3 years back. Peace treaty signing. Big deal. He gestured with the mop toward a corner. Mind standing over there? You're in my wet section. Veltara's mandibles clicked in shock. Her second-in-command, Commander Zix, stepped forward with weapon raised. You will show respect to Danny Martinez, the human said, tapping his name patch. Station custodian. And I'd show a lot more respect if you folks had scheduled this visit. Got a whole cleaning rotation blown now. Veltara studied him. Danny Martinez. Mid-30s by human standards. Average build. Unremarkable in every measurable way except for the complete absence of survival instinct. She accessed the station's personnel files through her neural link. Custodial staff. Security clearance. Minimal. Combat training. None. He was exactly what he appeared to be. A janitor. "Where are your soldiers?" she demanded. "Your commanders? This station houses 3,000 personnel." Danny checked a device on his wrist. Poker night. Big tournament in Rec Hall B. Everyone's there except essential staff. He paused. "And me. Can't join till I finish C-Wing." "Poker?" Veltara repeated slowly. "Card game. You bet chips, bluff your hand, try to win the pot." Danny returned to mopping. Captain Lewis is probably cleaning everyone out. She's got a tell, but nobody can spot it. Veltara's warriors exchanged glances. This wasn't protocol. This wasn't any scenario in their databases. During the war, humans had fought with desperate fury. They'd sacrificed ships, stations, entire colonies to slow the Corinthian advance. They'd earned respect through blood and determination. And now this one cleaned floors while his queen stood before him. "You're not afraid," Veltara stated. Danny looked up, considering. "Should I be? I could kill everyone on this station. Could have done that 3 years ago, too." You wrung out the mop again. "Didn't then. Figure you've got reasons now, same as then. You have violated the treaty. Human ships entered the forbidden zones 17 times in the past month." Danny nodded. "Yeah, that'd do it. Mining corporations, probably. They don't listen to much except profit margins." He pushed the mop in long, even strokes. "You come all this way just to yell at us? Or you got actual business?" Veltara felt something she hadn't experienced in decades. Uncertainty. She'd planned this confrontation for weeks. Tactical insertions. Overwhelming presence. Deliver the ultimatum from a position of strength. Instead, she stood in a wet corridor while a janitor lectured her about scheduling. "I demand to speak with your commanding officer immediately." "Sure thing." Danny pulled out a communication device. "But fair warning, Captain Lewis doesn't like being pulled from poker night." Last guy who interrupted her lost bathroom privileges for a week. He pressed a button. Static crackled. "Martinez to Captain Lewis. Got a situation in Central Hub. Queen Veltara's here with about 20 warriors. Looks official." A pause. Then a woman's voice, annoyed. "Danny, is this a joke?" "No, ma'am. She's standing right here. Want me to put her on?" Another pause, longer this time. When the captain spoke again, her tone had shifted completely. "Keep her there. Don't let her leave. I'm coming now." The channel closed. Danny looked at Veltara apologetically. "She'll be here in 5 minutes. You folks want to wait in the conference room, or—" "We will wait here," Veltara said coldly. "Your call," Danny resumed mopping. "Just remember, wet floor." Captain Helen Lewis arrived in 4 minutes, not 5. She ran through the corridor entrance with 3 armed guards, all wearing hastily fastened uniforms. Her weapon stayed holstered, but her hand hovered near it. She scanned the scene, processed it, then stopped dead. Queen Veltara stood with her warriors in a perfect defensive formation. "Us." Danny Martinez stood with his mop, humming to his music. "Queen Veltara," Lewis said carefully. "This is unexpected. Your janitor said the same thing." Veltara's voice carried an edge now. The absurdity of the situation had worn through her patience. "Captain Lewis, we need to discuss your people's repeated violations of treaty zones. This cannot continue." Lewis glanced at Danny, who shrugged. She turned back to the Queen. "I agree completely. Come to Conference Room 3. We'll talk there. We talk here. Your Majesty, with respect, this is a public corridor. What we need to discuss requires privacy." Veltara's sensors detected movement throughout the station. Humans mobilizing. "Not for attack," her computers confirmed. "Just moving into positions. Standard security protocols." She'd seen this before, during negotiation sessions. They were preparing for formal contact, not war. Very well. Lead the way. Lewis started walking. Velthara followed, her warriors maintaining formation. Danny called after them. Captain, they tracked water across Section 4. Lewis didn't break stride. Clean it later, Danny. Yes, ma'am. The conference room matched Veltara's expectations. Functional. Sparse. A table designed for multiple species. Lewis sat on one side. Velthara remained standing, dominating the space as intended. 17 incursions, Veltara began. Human mining vessels in the Kelzor sector. The treaty explicitly forbids this. Lewis nodded. You're absolutely right. It does. Veltara paused. She'd expected denials, excuses, human double talk. Not immediate agreement. Then why do you permit it? I don't permit it. Nobody in the military permits it. Lewis pulled up a holographic display. These are corporate vessels. Private operations. They don't answer to us. That is unacceptable. You are one species. One government. We're really not. Lewis expanded the display, showing a complex web of jurisdictions, corporations, legal frameworks. Earth has 207 sovereign nations. Mars has 3 independent colonies. The belt stations operate under 7 different charters. We unified for the war because we had to. Now we're back to arguing about everything. Veltara studied the data. Her intelligence division had reported this, but she dismissed it as human deception. No civilization could function with such fragmentation. Yet here was proof, documented in their own systems. Who commands these mining operations? Tyrell Mining Consortium, based in the Belt. They've been fined, sanctioned, and officially condemned. They keep operating because they're making enough profit to absorb the penalties. Then destroy their ships. Lewis leaned back. Can't. Not legally. They're civilians. We fired on civilian targets during the war, and you used it against us in the peace negotiations. Remember? Veltara did remember. The humans had been desperate in the final years. Some commanders had made terrible choices. The Corinthian delegation had leveraged that guilt extensively. So you do nothing. We're doing what we can within our legal frameworks. It's slow, it's messy, but it's how our system works. Your system is broken. Maybe. Lewis met her gaze steadily. But it's ours. We fought you to keep it. Silence filled the room. Veltara's tactical computers ran scenarios. She could make demands, issue ultimatums, threaten consequences. But what then? Start another war over mining ships neither government-controlled? There must be a solution, Veltara said finally. There is. Lewis pulled up another display. Joint patrols. Your ships, our ships, working together. We catch the miners in the act, we both have jurisdiction. Your people enforce your territory. We enforce our laws against the corporations. They get impounded, not fined. You want Corinthian warriors working alongside humans. I want this problem solved before it turns into something worse. Lewis stood. Look, Your Majesty, I know trust is hard. We spent 7 years trying to kill each other. But we signed that treaty because both sides were exhausted. Because continuing meant mutual destruction. That's still true. Veltara considered joint operations. Shared intelligence. It meant integrating human and Corinthian forces in ways the treaty had specifically avoided. Stuff. Ra, her military advisors would hate it. The council would debate for months. But it might actually work. I will need to consult with my government. Of course. Take your time. Lewis gestured toward the door. You're welcome to stay aboard the station while you communicate. We can arrange proper quarters. That won't be necessary. They walked back through the corridors together, warriors and guards maintaining careful distances. As they passed Central Hub, Danny was gone. The floor gleamed, perfectly clean. Veltara paused, looking at the spotless surface. Your janitor, she said slowly. He wasn't afraid. Danny? No, he wouldn't be. Lewis smiled slightly. He's seen worse than alien queens. Worse than war? Danny was a medic, battlefield triage. He saw things during the war that broke a lot of people. Lewis's expression softened. When it ended, he wanted the simplest job he could find, something with clear objectives, something he could finish. Veltara looked at the clean floor with new understanding. He finds peace in order. Something like that. Veltara returned to her flagship with more questions than answers. Her war council assembled immediately, projections filling the command chamber. General Crack stood foremost, armor scarred from 100 battles, most against humans. "They mock us," Crax growled. "A janitor." "They sent a janitor to greet the Queen." "They sent no one," Veltara corrected. "He was simply there, doing his job." "Irrelevant. We should have leveled that station as a message. And started another war we barely survived the first time?" Veltara's voice cut through the room. Captain Lewis offered a practical solution. "Joint patrols." The council erupted. Voices overlapped, mandibles clicked, threat displays flashed. Veltara let them argue for exactly 30 seconds before slamming her primary fist against the console. Silence returned instantly. "I am not proposing alliance. I am proposing enforcement. The humans cannot control their own corporations. We can provide that control. By working with them, Crax's disgust was palpable. By using them, we gain legitimate access to human space. We monitor their activities directly. We demonstrate strength through presence, not threats." Her science advisor, Lithara, stepped forward. The political complications would be severe. "Our people remember the war. Seeing human ships alongside ours would trigger unrest. Our people also remember losing 3 colony worlds and 2 billion souls." Veltara pulled up casualty reports. "They remember that continuing the war meant extinction for both species. This gives us leverage without bloodshed." The debate continued for hours. Veltara fielded objections, modified proposals, made concessions. Finally, reluctantly, the council agreed to a trial program. 3 months, limited zones, heavy oversight. It was enough. Veltara returned to the station 2 days later. This time she requested docking clearance, followed protocols, brought only minimal security. Lewis met her personally at the airlock. "Your government agreed?" "Conditionally. Yours?" "Same. We've got paperwork that'll take weeks to finalize." Lewis started walking. "But we can start planning now." They worked through tactical details in the conference room, communication protocols, engagement rules, jurisdiction boundaries. The process was tedious, frustrating, and occasionally hostile. Both sides had lost too much to trust easily. During a break, Veltara wandered the station corridors. Her security detail shadowed her at a respectful distance. She found herself back at Central Hub. Danny was there again. Different music this time, same methodical movements. He was scrubbing a stubborn stain near the air recycler intake. He noticed her, nodded acknowledgement, kept working. Veltara approached. "You are here every day. Usually night shift, actually. C-Wing gets heavy traffic during day cycle. Easier to clean when it's empty. Yet you were here when I first arrived. During day. Emergency maintenance call. Someone spilled coolant in corridor 9. Had to clean it before it ate through the deck plating. He applied more pressure to the stain. Ended up here after." Veltara watched him work. "You do not seem concerned by my presence? Should I be? You're talking instead of shooting. It seems like progress. Your people died in the war. Your friends, perhaps." Danny stopped scrubbing. His expression didn't change, but something shifted in his posture. "Yeah? Lost a lot of good people. My whole unit, eventually. I was the only medic who made it through the siege of Titan Station. I commanded that assault." The words hung in the air. Danny looked up at her fully now, really seeing her for the first time. Veltara met his gaze, waiting for the hate, the fear, the rage she'd seen in so many human eyes. Danny returned to scrubbing. "You did your job. I did mine. We both survived. Now you're doing whatever queens do, and I'm cleaning floors." He finally broke through the stain, wiped it away. "Holding grudges doesn't make the work go any faster. You forgive easily. Didn't say I forgive. Said holding grudges is inefficient. Danny stood, examined his work, nodded with satisfaction. Forgiveness is complicated. Cleaning isn't. You make something dirty clean again. Simple. Oh, finished? Done. Veltara's processors analyzed his words, his tone, his biometrics. No deception. No hidden malice. Just exhausted pragmatism from someone who'd seen too much. During the war, I believed humans were chaotic, undisciplined, inferior. Probably seen that way from your side. But you survived impossible odds through sheer determination, no logic, no strategy, just refusal to surrender. Hi, me, as Escalante Brapit says a few charges as it ends. Danny picked up his cleaning supplies. We're stubborn, good at surviving, not always good at making sense. Your captain offered joint patrols, working together. Yeah, she mentioned that. Think it'll work? I do not know. The logic is sound. The emotions are complicated. Most things worth doing are. Danny started wheeling his cart toward the next section. He paused, looked back. For what it's worth, Your Majesty, I'm glad you're talking instead of shooting. Lost enough friends already. He continued down the corridor, music playing from his belt device, mop leaving wet trails across clean floors. Belthara stood alone in Central Hub, surrounded by her security detail, and felt something she hadn't expected. Hope. The Joint Patrol Program launched 6 weeks later. The first mission paired the Kryntian destroyer Talvok with the human frigate Constellation. Neither crew was happy about it. Velthara monitored everything from her flagship, positioned 3 light hours away, close enough to intervene, far enough to avoid micromanaging. The first contact came on day 4. Unauthorized mining vessel detected, Commander Zix reported from Talvok. Human registration, Tyrell Mining Consortium. Operating in Forbidden Zone 7. Velthara watched the tactical display. The mining ship was a massive industrial hauler, stripped down for speed, loaded with illegal extraction equipment. It was surrounded by 6 smaller escort vessels. Wow! Armed. Status of human ship, she asked. The Constellation is moving into intercept position. Their captain is hailing the miners. The communication channel opened. Captain Rodriguez of the Constellation spoke with practiced authority. Tyrell vessel, you are in violation of treaty zones. Power down and prepare for inspection. The response came crackling back, defiant and sharp. Constellation, this is Tyrell 7. We're operating under corporate charter. You've got no authority here. I've got a Kryntian destroyer that says otherwise. Power down now. Veltara's sensors detected energy spikes on the escort ships, weapons charging. Her tactical computers screened warnings. The humans had walked into a trap. The miners weren't here by accident. They were testing the joint patrol, seeing if Kryntian and human forces would actually coordinate, or if they'd hesitate long enough to be destroyed. Zix, weapons status, Veltara commanded. Armed and ready, Your Majesty. Awaiting orders. The mining escorts opened fire. Plasma bolts streaked toward Constellation. The frigate's shields flared, absorbing the impact, but the barrage was coordinated and heavy. Rodriguez's voice cut through the chaos. Talvok, we need support. Multiple hostiles engaging. This was the moment, the critical test. Velthara's orders would define everything that followed. Fire, and prove the alliance meant something. Hesitate, and watch humans die while Kryntian warriors stood idle. Zix! Engage all hostile vessels. Disable. Do not destroy. Coordinate with Constellation. Acknowledged. The Talbot moved with predatory grace. Kryntian weapons technology had terrified humanity during the war. Precision plasma cannons that could carve through shields without touching the hull. Now those same weapons targeted the mining escorts with surgical accuracy. 3 escorts lost power in seconds. The other 3 tried to scatter. Constellation pursued, launching disruptor drones that scrambled their navigation systems. Within minutes, all 6 escorts drifted helpless. The main mining vessel tried to run. Talvok positioned itself directly in the escape vector. Constellation flanked from below. The Tyrell ship was trapped. Rodriguez hailed them again. Tyrell 7, this is your final warning. Power down or we will disable you by force. The mining captain's voice came back, panicked now. You can't do this. We've got rights. Corporate protection. You've got nothing. Rodriguez sounded almost satisfied. You're under arrest by Joint Crincian Human Authority. Your ship is being impounded. Your cargo is seized. And your corporation is going to pay damages for firing on military vessels. The mining ship powered down. Velthara watched as boarding teams from both ships secured the miners. Humans and Corinthians working side by side, following the protocols they'd spent weeks developing. It wasn't smooth. It wasn't perfect, but it worked. Your Majesty, Zix reported, all hostile vessels secured. No casualties on either side. The human captain requests communication. Put him through. Rodriguez appeared on the display, looking tired but relieved. Queen Veltara. Joint operation successful. Miners in custody, requesting permission to escort them to the nearest station for processing. Granted. Commander Zix will coordinate transfer procedures. Appreciated. Rodriguez hesitated. Your people responded fast. Saved our shields from buckling. Tell them thank you. I will relay your gratitude. Your tactical positioning was effective as well. Yeah, well, Rodriguez almost smiled. Turns out working together beats getting shot at separately. The channel closed. Veltara studied the tactical display, analyzing every moment of the engagement. The numbers were clear. Combined forces had neutralized 7 armed vessels with 0 casualties in under 6 minutes. During the war, that same scenario would have cost lives on both sides. Over the next month, 12 more joint patrols launched. They intercepted 19 illegal mining operations, 3 smuggling rings, and 1 human extremist group trying to restart the war. Each success built momentum. Each mission proved the concept worked. But success bred new problems. Veltara received the report during a standard briefing. Her intelligence chief Corval delivered it with obvious concern. Your Majesty, we have detected organized resistance. Not from humans, from our own people. Explain. A faction within the Empire opposes joint operations. They call it collaboration with the enemy. They've been spreading propaganda, organizing protests, sabotaging supply shipments to patrol vessels. Corval displayed intercepted communications. They call themselves the Purity Movement. Their leader is Admiral Threx Call. Veltara's triple hearts went cold. Threxical, war hero, decorated commander. He'd lost 2 of his clutch mates in the final human offensive. She'd kept him away from joint operations specifically because she knew he'd never accept peace. Now he was organizing against her. What is his support level? Growing. Approximately 18% of the military supports his position openly, perhaps 30% privately. 18%, enough to cause serious problems. Not enough to stage a coup. Yet. Monitor him closely. Do not interfere unless he takes direct action. I will not create martyrs. Yes, Your Majesty. Veltharata dismissed her staff and stood alone in her command chamber. The numbers didn't lie. Joint patrols worked. They saved lives, enforced law, built cooperation. But numbers didn't account for emotion, for loss, for the deep wounds war carved into entire civilizations. She thought of Danny Martinez, scrubbing floors while the Queen stood behind him, making something dirty clean again. Simple. Finished. Done. If only peace worked the same way. Admiral Threxcall made his move 3 weeks later, not with violence, but with politics. He requested formal audience before the Imperial Council, invoking ancient rights that even Velthara couldn't deny. The chamber filled with representatives from every Corinthian world, all watching as the war hero stood before the Queen. Your Majesty, Threxcall began, his voice resonating through the hall. I come with grave concerns about our future. These joint patrols compromise our sovereignty. We train our enemy, share our tactics, expose our weaknesses. Veltara remained seated on her throne, posture calm. The patrols enforce our borders more effectively than we managed alone. At what cost? We lost billions in the war. Now we pretend those deaths meant nothing. We shake hands with the species that slaughtered our families. Murmurs rippled through the council. Beltara saw agreement on many faces. Threxcal was voicing doubts that others shared but wouldn't speak. The war cost both sides dearly, Beltara said. Continuing it would have cost everything. You know this, Admiral. You were there when we calculated the projections. 5 more years of fighting meant total collapse. Better honorable collapse than corrupted survival. Threxcal gestured broadly. We are Corinthian. We ruled this sector for 10,000 years. Now we patrol our own territory alongside jumped-up primates who barely discovered fusion power a century ago. Those primates fought us to a standstill, Beltara countered. They adapted, improvised, survived against superior technology through sheer determination. That deserves respect, not contempt. It deserves vigilance, not partnership. The debate raged for hours. Threxcal presented evidence of human technological advancement, arguing they were using peace to close the military gap. He showed intercepted corporate communications suggesting weapons development. He painted a picture of humanity preparing for the next war, while Corinthia grew complacent. Beltara countered each point with data from the joint patrols. Reduced border incidents, increased stability, growing trade opportunities, the practical benefits of cooperation versus the theoretical dangers of isolation. The Council would vote tomorrow. Beltara knew the numbers were close. She returned to her flagship exhausted. Her personal chamber offered no comfort. She'd spent decades in military service, climbing ranks through merit and strategic brilliance. She'd led fleets, conquered systems, negotiated treaties. But politics remained a battlefield where her weapons had little effect. A communication request interrupted her thoughts. Captain Lewis, from the human station. Beltara almost declined, then accepted. Lewis appeared on the display, looking concerned. Your Majesty, we've been monitoring Corinthian communication channels. Public ones only, she added quickly. We know about Admiral Threxcal, about the council vote. This is internal Corinthian business. It affects the joint patrols. That makes it our business, too. Lewis leaned forward. What can we do to help? Nothing. Your involvement would only strengthen Threxcal's argument. Then we'll stay quiet. But if the vote goes badly, if you need anything, Lewis paused. We remember what war costs. We don't want it back either. The channel closed. Beltara sat in darkness, considering her options. She could force the issue, use her authority as queen to override the council. But that would breed resentment, undermine her legitimacy. Or she could accept their decision, end the patrols, return to the old tensions. Neither option felt right. Her communicator chirped again. This time a text message, routed through multiple relays to hide its origin. It took her processors a moment to trace it back to the human station. From Danny Martinez. The message was simple. Sometimes the mess is bigger than one person can clean. That's when you ask for help, or you accept it takes longer than expected. Either way, you keep working. Beltara stared at the message. A janitor, offering wisdom to a queen. The absurdity almost made her laugh. But he was right. She'd been approaching this wrong, treating the council vote as a battle to win or lose. But peace wasn't a battle. It was maintenance. Constant, unglamorous work that never truly finished. Beltara composed a message to Threxcal, requesting private meeting before the vote. He agreed, likely expecting negotiation or concession. They met in a neutral chamber, guards posted outside. Threxcal stood rigid, formal. Beltara remained casual, almost relaxed. Admiral, I understand your concerns. Then end the joint patrols. No, but I will offer you something else. Command of the next patrol mission. See the operations firsthand. Work with the humans directly, then report your findings to the council honestly. Threxcal's mandibles clicked in surprise. You want me to participate? I want you to experience truth instead of theory. If you return convinced the patrols are dangerous, I will respect your testimony. Your voice carries weight, the numbers cannot. And if I refuse, Then tomorrow you'll argue against something you've never witnessed. The council will see your passion but question your knowledge. Some will vote with you anyway. Others won't. The Empire remains divided. Veltara stepped closer. Or you can lead a mission. Prove your concerns are valid, and if you're right, I'll end the program myself. Threxkull studied her, searching for deception, finding none. Which human ship? The Constellation? Captain Rodriguez. Experienced commander, lost crew during the war. Not a politician, a soldier, like you. When? Immediately. There's a patrol launching in 12 hours. Forbidden Zone 18? High probability of contact. Brexel's expression remained unreadable. Finally, he nodded once. I will go. I will report truthfully. And the council will decide based on reality, not speculation. That's all I ask. Veltara left the meeting knowing she'd gambled everything on Threxkull's honor. He would report truthfully. The question was what truth he would find. She sent a message to Captain Rodriguez. Brief, encrypted, warning him that tomorrow's patrol would carry the Empire's most skeptical observer. Rodriguez's response came back in seconds. Understood. We'll show him how it's done. Threxkull boarded the Constellation with full ceremonial armor and zero expectations. Captain Rodriguez met him at the airlock, offered a crisp salute, and led him to the bridge without unnecessary conversation. The human crew worked their stations with practiced efficiency, barely glancing at the Crynesian admiral who'd spent 7 years trying to kill their species. Patrol route takes us through Forbidden Zone 18, Rodriguez explained, pulling up tactical displays. 3 mining operations shut down last month. Intel suggests they're trying to reopen under new registration. Threxkull studied the displays. Standard setup, nothing impressive. Your ship is small for this sector. Fast, though, and we're not alone. Rodriguez gestured to the view screen. The Corinthian destroyer Kaldrix appeared alongside them. Commander Sixera knows these zones better than anyone. We follow her lead on positioning. The patrol began quietly. Brexel observed everything, the way human crew coordinated with Corinthian ships, the communication protocols, the tactical formations. It was competent, professional. Nothing he couldn't have accomplished with pure Corinthian forces. Then the distress call came. Human freighter under attack, the communications officer reported. Civilian vessel. Pirates engaging. Rodriguez didn't hesitate. Kaldrix, you copy that? Confirmed, Commander Sixer responded. Adjusting course. 7 minutes to intercept. We'll be there in 5. Going to full burn. The Constellation accelerated. Threxkull gripped the command rail as the ship pushed its engines past recommended limits. Rodriguez stood calm, eyes fixed on tactical displays. They dropped out of high speed at the attack site. 4 pirate vessels surrounded a cargo hauler. The freighter's shields were failing. Life pods were launching. Weapons hot, Rodriguez commanded. Target pirate engines. Disable only, Captain Threxkull interrupted. There are civilians in the crossfire zone. If we engage now, Kaldrix deploys rescue fields, Rodriguez said, pointing to the tactical display. Threxkull saw it immediately. The Corinthian destroyer was positioning to create a safe corridor for the life pods while Constellation drew pirate fire. It was perfectly coordinated, and it relied entirely on trust. Constellation engaged. Pirates returned fire. Shields absorbed the impact while human weapons carved through pirate engines with surprising precision. The pirates tried to scatter. Kaldrix blocked their escape routes, forcing them into tighter formation where Constellation could disable them systematically. In 4 minutes, all 4 pirate ships drifted powerless. The freighter limped away on emergency thrusters. Every civilian pod made it to safety. 0 casualties. Joint operation successful, Sixer reported. All hostiles secured. Civilian vessel damaged but stable. Rodriguez exhaled slowly. Good work, Kaldrix. We'll handle prisoner transfer while you escort the freighter to dock. Threxkull watched the aftermath in silence. During the war, this scenario would have ended differently. Pirates would have destroyed the freighter before help arrived, or military ships would have sacrificed civilian safety to ensure pirate elimination. The math of war allowed no other option. But this wasn't war. This was something else. "Admiral," Rodriguez said quietly, "I know what you're thinking. You could have done this with only Krinian ships." "Maybe faster." "Perhaps," Threxical admitted, "but you weren't here. Neither were we. Only the joint patrol was close enough to respond in time." Rodriguez pulled up a star chart showing patrol routes. "We covered twice the territory together, respond to threats neither of us could handle alone. And we're doing it without shooting each other." Threxical studied the chart. The logic was undeniable. The efficiency was measurable. The results spoke clearly. Your crew works well under pressure. So does yours. Sixra knew exactly where we needed her without me asking. That's not luck. That's training together, learning how each other thinks. The patrol continued for another 6 hours. No more combat, just routine enforcement, border monitoring, the unglamorous work of maintaining peace. Threxical observed it all, watched humans and Corinthians coordinate seamlessly, saw the respect in their interactions, born not from friendship but from shared competence. When they returned to station, Rodriguez offered his hand. Human gesture, peace offering. Threxical looked at it, then clasped it firmly. "You fight well, Captain, for a primate." Rodriguez grinned. "You patrol well, Admiral. For someone who wants us all dead." Wanted. Past tense. Threxical released his hand. "I will report to the council tomorrow, truthfully." He did exactly that. The council chamber filled again, all eyes on the war hero. Threxical stood before Belthara and delivered his assessment without emotion or embellishment. Joint patrols are effective. They provide strategic advantages we cannot achieve independently. They require trust, which carries risk. But isolation carries greater risk. He paused. "I recommend continuation and expansion of the program, with oversight. With caution, but with commitment." The council voted 3 hours later, 72% in favor. Veltarata found Danny Martinez in Central Hub that night. He was polishing viewport glass, making it transparent enough to see stars clearly. "Your Majesty," he acknowledged without stopping work. "Your message helped." "More than you know." Danny shrugged. "Just saying what makes sense. You can't clean everything at once. You do sections, one at a time. Eventually it all gets done." "Peace in sections," Veltara said quietly. "Something like that." She watched him work for a moment. "Simple, methodical, turning dirty glass clean. The joint patrols will continue," she said. "Good. Means fewer people shooting at each other. That's always better." "You truly believe that? After everything you lost?" Danny paused, looked at her directly. "I believe fighting only makes sense when there's no other choice. We had no choice during the war. Now we do. So yeah, I believe it's better." He returned to polishing. Velthara stood beside him, looking out at the stars. Two species. Former enemies. Learning to maintain peace, one small section at a time. It wasn't glorious. It wasn't simple, but it was working. And for now, that was enough.